What's up, guys? It's June 28th, 2024. Bears had a nice day. It was a bear trend. Haven't got one in a while. The daily chart is looking pretty nasty. It's a double top. Um, double top. It's this high, so lower high actually. Pretty good day for the Bears. Bulls had that climax move in the open. That was a failed. That actually wasn't really a failed breakout. They met their measured move and started taking profits, and it reversed. So it was a failure to go for maybe 2R, but 1R was met. The market could be going range bound. Give me 2 seconds here. I mean, the market is range bound. This is the last since June 18th. We've been sideways. So, do you guys? So there's a gap open here. Do you guys understand gaps right now? Wait, I want to draw in some daily gaps. I want to leave them on the chart, but I don't want them on the 45-minute. I want to draw them. Maybe sync and layout or not? No, it should be not sync and layout, right? So delete. No sync. Okay, up it. So yeah, let's draw them in. On what color? I'm gonna make it just very light, not too distracting. Take a couple minutes, but I think it's good so we can see all the. We'll just start it from here. So a gap is bullish pressure. It shows that there's a gap. See this gap? So it takes 3 bars. The high of this wick and the high of that wick, or the low of this wick creates a gap, which is kind of a bull candle. So for instance, there's a gap here, but it got closed right here, you see? So let's just draw these gaps and I want to keep them on the daily. I think that's gonna be sick as heck. Hell, I wanted to say hell. So why is this one on the 45-minute chart again? Oh, I gotta go individually. Okay, I'll just do it individually. Okay, I see. So there's one. There's a gap, and that gap's almost closed. I copied and pasted that. Whatever. Okay. There's a gap here. So from here to here. But even that gap is kind of closing. That gap kind of closed with that doji right here. It's still halfway open. Hold on. That's sloppy. Okay. I don't like how that... So you guys see how that's bull pressure? And then the bears are coming in, they're testing it, and there's more limit orders above this candle, so the market went up. So there's a gap here. This is cool. I don't know why I never thought of this, but this is neutral enough to leave on the chart, you know. I don't think it's too distracting, and they help tell the story. Like if we go sideways and these gaps close, we all together will know that bull pressure is closing now. And this is also how I trade on the 5-minute chart. I do have gaps open. I do look at gaps on the 5-minute chart a lot. A lot of my trades rely on what side has a gap open. If gaps stay open, that's pressure. If gaps are closing, that's range. So I'll show you in a second what a closed gap could be. Well, I showed you guys right here, but I'll show you like in the flush. So there's no gaps here, right? See this low and this low? That wouldn't even work. There's no gap there. So there was a bear gap from, so see, look, so we can I'll show you a bear gap. So there's a bear gap here, right? But then the bulls closed it right away with these candles. So there's no more bear pressure. So here's a gap, here's a gap. That nicer looking. From there to there is another gap. And this is the breakout, so it has the bigger gaps. Here to here is a gap. Even if you got, I just honestly really encourage you guys to look further into gaps and understand how they show what side is in control. At least they'll keep you on the right side of the market, or at least structure your day. So there's a bear gap right here, and the bulls close it on the right side. See, so this market's range bound, right? And in ranges, gaps close. In trends, gaps stay open. So in this range, all the gaps closed, but then the bulls started to trend, and all their gaps stayed open. Yeah, I use gaps a lot in my trading. They're super helpful. Let me just desync all this. I gotta do it individually. And yeah, I get into the daily breakdown now. I know went just kind of freestyled a quick gap lesson, but gaps helped me today. Like if it wasn't for the gaps, I might have been long. So it's important to understand gaps. Yeah, I don't want it on the 45-minute chart. I don't know. Let me know if you guys think it makes sense to have on a 45-minute chart. So on the next couple of days, I'll update this from the bear side, and we'll see like do they get a gap like this, or does the gap close and it go back up? And if it goes back up, there is no gap because there's just no gap. This gap's almost closed. Let's see. Did we get all the gaps from this breakout here? Gap. No gap. This gap got closed, but I'm gonna leave it there. It's a bull gap. A part of me wants to draw this bear gap in to be thorough because that is a gap. I don't want to ignore it. We'll do very like, is that too distracting? Red. Does it stand out like an ugly pimple? No, right? I can make it a little bit lighter too. That might be a little too light. Okay, whatever. That's gonna stay like that for a little bit. I'll think about it over the weekend. Okay, so there's a gap, and this gap got closed. This gap got tested. No gap. There's a gap there, a gap there, a gap there. Okay, we're good. And there's tons of gaps open here. If the market breaches below here, we can draw these gaps in and run the same exercise. I like this. I like this a lot because it's simple and we can see it. Doesn't take away. It just brings out more features, you know. So yeah, that was a crash course on gaps. Hope you guys like that. Now let's get into the breakdown. And to keep everything going, I'm gonna draw all the gaps in right now. We're just gonna take this. We're just gonna make this a little bit extended. Bear gap. Because I used these gaps literally today. I did start trading again. I know I said I was gonna take a break, but I didn't. Sue me. I like trading, and I'm only doing I'm only doing gaps between 1 and 3 bars. There's from here to here could be a gap from this high to that high. There's a lot of different types of gaps, so I don't want to get too carried away. You know, that's resistance right there. But we're gonna just focus on 3-bar gaps because that's what I like to trade with. I do look at other gaps. I just like if you were to watch me trade, you would see me drawing these in, or if I have a gap indicator, I'd turn that on because there's a couple gap indicators, but I'm not a fan of them. Indicators are a funny thing because we don't use them, but then things like gaps, it's just highlighting what I'm doing, which it makes the price action reading easier, but you should still be able to know a gap is forming as they form. Like if you see this bar and you see that this bar doesn't get tested, then you know there's trap bulls that never got their break even. What I mean by that is bulls buy here and it has to come up here for them to get out, and they didn't. So don't worry about that actually. Well, do worry about that. That is an important aspect of gaps. It just makes it a little. It just adds a little layer to it. So there's no gaps here, but it's a channel. It's a tight channel. Wait, is there a gap? No, because that's the low. No, no gap. There's a gap here that closes right away. And that would be that from what I can see. There's a small gap here. Here, no. Okay, that's all the gaps I could see. No. So I'm gonna do today's breakdown from the gap perspective just to keep everything in one fluid motion. Bar one. So we have a small gap up and bears try and sell off, it reverses high and bulls are going for the breakout. Bar two is a strong bar. I don't trade the open. Sometimes it can reverse. 50% of the time it races to support, and that's what it did here. This is very climactic if you ask me. Look at this big bar. We haven't touched the EMA. Bar 3 is follow through for bar 2. Bar 4 or 5 is good follow through. Bar 6 is an inside bar. This is breakout mode. It's a triangle on a smaller time frame. Bulls get the breakout, so that would make this a bull flag. Bar 7 is a really big bar with bar 8, and that leaves a bull gap open here. So there could be, there's a lot of, we assume that there's limit orders here to buy when it comes down and we get tested. So here's 25% gets tested. The low got tested, but bears were overwhelming the bulls. Bar 9, bulls go for 2R. So this is 1R of yesterday's range. And then bulls want the second 2R, but it fails. Bar 10 changes the context for the day. I think the market is going to go sideways and bounce off the EMA. I actually shorted bar 12. I got out here and then went short again and then short again. And I shorted here and then just held and got out and then shorted here. Because even if I shorted here, maybe it was a double bottom. This is the first touch of the EMA. So I just waited, got out, break even, and then got short again. So market's going sideways after a climactic price action. Bulls want a second leg. Bears want to get the full-on reversal, which they got. Bar 12 looks bad. Bar 11 is a high one, and there's usually more sellers above the high one, and we can see that gems like clearly right here. Bar 12, 13, and 14, we're going sideways. I think it's better to just get out the markets, or wait, or I was short. I got short on bar 12. The better short was the high one short because it's climactic. High one, there's more sellers. We're right sitting right at the resistance. So I think the better short was the short to sell the limit order or market order the high, which is hard to do. I do it sometimes, but I get not. If you guys don't want to do that, I wouldn't do it. I waited for more confirmation. Leg 1, pull back leg 2 into the EMA, and they get the breakout. When they get the breakout, the market cycle resets. So there's bullish pressure and there's limit orders for the bulls, and these bears just grabbed all those orders and kept selling. So the bull side is losing pressure, and now there's bearish pressures building up. Good breakout, and there's another gap right there. We missed the breakout gap. That's like an important one. Yeah, so there's a breakout gap right there, and yeah, where was I going with that? That's a breakout gap. Bears get the breakout, and we sell off into the high of yesterday. I think bulls want a range with this much damage. I think the best the bulls can get is a range, maybe another failed breakout. But bulls are not happy about this. Breakout below the EMA, leg 1, pullback leg 2. So that's a two-legged pullback for the bulls within a two-legged move. You see how the market respects two legs. Leg 1, pullback, wedge top, bear flag. We sell off. Bar 27, I think, is a good short. We kind of go sideways. When you take bar 27, you have to realize you are shorting into support, right? Because this is the break and retest. So if you short 27, you're playing for the breakout. So if you short 27 and it bounces, you have to get out, because then what's your premise? Short here in a bull trend. So if you're in short 27 this close to support, you should be expecting a breakout. Bear flag breaks out, tests the higher time frame EMA, bounce and sells off. Leg 1, pull back leg 2, pull back leg 3, sideways price action to down. This is the full market cycle. It's not the full market cycle. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a range right here. The market cycle is breakout, pullback. First pullback is the channel phase, and then this should equal a total of 3, 4, 5 legs. Leg 1, pullback leg 2, pullback leg 3, pullback leg 4, pullback leg 5. Climactic sell, and it bounces. You see how when the bears are selling that these gaps are staying more open? That shows us this bear pressure. This is a bear trend. But then look here in the range. The market went more sideways at leg 3s and 4s in support. You see how there's confluences with these legs sideways. The gaps are closing on the leg 3s and 4s because it's more sideways price action. The gaps are staying open in legs 1 and 2 because it's more momentum move. So you see how the market's starting to piece itself together with leg breakouts, market cycle, gaps. It all kind of starts to layer itself, and then we can place trades around that. I wanted to buy this, but I was like, there's no bull gap. Like, this was the bull gap, and I was like, this is not enough. There's so many bear gaps open. These bull gaps closed, and sure enough, these should be red. Sure enough, the bull gap got closed, so I got short again. So yeah, I guess bear gaps are red, bull gaps are blue. um, Sideways price action. I know I've gone way past your guys' time. I appreciate it if you guys are still staying here. Gaps are helping me tremendously. I didn't even realize how much they're helping me out until I started talking about it on the daily chart. I use them so much. I love them. So please take this lesson to heart. You guys are going to see this on Monday. So use this week to just draw gaps. You don't got to draw them live. Practice when the market's not moving first. The way you can get good at gaps is by opening up the object tree. You see this data. This is, remember when I was measuring for a long time a couple weeks ago? So look at the low of 15, 16, 17. Look at the low of 17. The low of, so now I'm looking at these numbers right here. The low of 17. So I'm looking at the low. The low of 17 is 70 even. I'm looking at the last four numbers on low. It's 70.00, 70 even. Look at the high of this bar, 68.25. So there's what? A 1.75 gap. So there's a 1.75 gap open here. You see, is that right? 0.25 plus 75 is 9 plus 1. So that's pressure. Look at this gap. The low of this candle, 63.25. The high of 22 is 62 even. 63.25. 63. I don't know this one. 63, is it 0.75? I'm about to whip out the calculator. Why is this one confusing me? The low of 63.20. Okay, 63.25. So it's a 1.25 gap. Let's measure it. 1.25. Yeah. On the money. 1.25. But then this gap closes, you see? This gap closes. But then we break out again and gaps get open. And then sideways price action gaps are closing later in the move. Setups. These are breakouts or stop orders. Bulls are getting trapped with limit orders. If they bought this low thinking it was a reversal, they get trapped, they hit out, they cause a sell. Alright guys, I'm well over your time. Today was today was a good one. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you guys think. Please take your time this week and draw some gaps in and tell me if they work or they don't make any sense. Al talks about gaps in the beginning of the course, and I don't know where Ali talks about gaps, but I know for a fact he's using them all over the place. So I can't pinpoint for you exactly about Ali, but I do know in the beginning of Al's course he talks about gaps within the first one or two sections. The 20-30 minute video. Alright guys, we're well over the time, so I hope you guys had a good one. Hope you guys had a safe weekend. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.